Hey, what's up, everyone? Sean here at Blue Ridge Silverhound, and welcome to the Pocket Change Market Report for October 5, 2024. So, this is being uploaded on Sunday, which is the 6th. Just due to things going on, we're trying to get back on the schedule with these market report videos. So, if you are an avid hunter of anything out there that is coin related, whether you're a roll hunter or you like to go to the shows, and cherry pick some really nice stuff that you can either resell or add to your collection at a much cheaper rate than normal because the dealer either A, they're really not into varieties or errors and they just want to mark it, put it in a bargain bin, and then sell it as it is, or if they have gone unattributed or undiagnosed for an error, and like again those cheapy bargain bin lots, I've actually done a banging job sourcing some of these particular pieces out of these bargain bins. Then I go and resell them on the secondary market, whether that's here or somewhere else. This is going to be kind of like your go-to report video, reporting video of those particular pieces. How are they faring in the market? How good are some of the things coming out of circulation? How are those faring these days? So we are typically in this period, this time of year, where things like this really ramp up to a whole new level. All right, usually October, November, and then halfway into December, right before Christmas hits. This is kind of like the sweet spot of coin sales and just overall activity, the overall market, the sentiment, the buying. People are simply just in collector mode right now, all right, and they're really enjoying the hobby. After a long summer, they're back and then they're doing something they enjoy. So we're going to take a look at everything. Everything is raw, ungraded. You guys know the drill. Shouldn't be a big surprise there as to why. Keep the money in your pocket. Of course, I sell on the platform Whatnot, so this is a supplement to my eBay store that I currently have right now. And boy, we have some big events happening here. The holidays are certainly ramping up. There's a few things going on. Number one, we're doing these rotating shows every single Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're highlighting more of U.S. type as kind of a basis for what we sell on there, because usually this time of year, there's more desirability for a lot of those earlier U.S. type pieces. We will also always sell bullion. There will be paper money also available. Something to look forward to. So be sure to check it out. If you haven't signed up on the platform and you're really interested in finding out more about how it all works and how the buying process works, the selling process, it's really easy. It's one of my favorite live auction sites running today. And they are just continuing to get bigger and bigger. I'll have my referral link down below in the description box. You can always sign up. If you do under me, you get $15 off your first item. I mean, that's pretty good. Another big event. It's actually coming up this week. The American Classics event is coming to you guys. There's going to be a number of sellers that are participating in this Whatnot exclusive event, where we are going to see just head to toe a bunch of different offerings, a bunch of U.S. type coins. There's a seller by the name of Trader B. He's one of the biggest dealers in the country today. He actually has some of those bag Morgan dollars that are slabbed by NGC, and they have Whatnot's logo on them, specifically for the American Classics event coming up here. So he has them for sale. He is almost out of those. So go ahead and check it out. That's going to be October 10 and 11. Again, there will be a number of dealers that are participating in that event. On our channel, on which is going to be the 11th, that's the day that we have slotted for the event. We will be giving away BU Franklin half dollars all stream long. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I highly encourage you guys to come check it out. We'll be on at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the event. So come on down. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's go ahead and jump into these selections. They're not going to talk about themselves. You guys need to know what's being found out there. Starting out with this 1941 Lincoln wheat cent that is off-center by about 10-15%. It's a very attractive looking coin. And one in which probably you're not going to find circulation, but very cherry pickable at a coin shop. I've cherry picked similar coins like this for right around $20. Again, it's a classic case of either misunderstood, not interested, what have you, and that's going to be kind of like where your opportunity is going to be. So if you come across a dealer that has these big buckets of bargain type pieces, chances are you'll find something very similar to this in there, along with other dates as well. Nice earlier date. These are typically collected by date. They are a perennial favorite among the error community and, just armchair collectors in general. They want something that could be a statement piece, something they could talk about. This one right here is sold for $82.36. And I'm going to say and go on a limb that it is still a mint state coin, probably more brown than anything else. Could be red brown, but aside from that, it's just a really pretty looking coin. Glad to kick things off with this one. The next one that we have here is one of the well-known doubled die obverses for the date. 1972 Lincoln Memorial Cent features the FS103 DDO. I actually had the pleasure of selling a fair number of these on the platform Whatnot about a month or two ago. And they sold out. They sold out like hotcakes, and they were all in really nice gem condition. So here's one of those particular coins. It's a very attractive, very strong double die. Here's some close-ups here for you of what you can find. The motto is pretty well knotted up with this type of doubling, and you're also going to see that on Liberty as well. And to a little bit lesser extent, the date will show some doubling, albeit not the most craziest spread that you will see on the date. Very nice, attractive coin. This one ended up selling for $43.50. So that seems to be kind of the market. These are typically, if you buy them raw, they're going to end up being anywhere from about $40 to $80, depending on how clean the coin is. The higher the grade, the more prospective it will be on the marketplace. People will want to buy a much higher end specimen that they could go and send out to a PCGS or NGC, a grading company. Next one that we have here, a lot of people will typically overlook things like this, and that's okay. It takes a well-trained eye to spot a coin that's been struck through grease, and that is exactly what we have here. We'll look at this and probably not think too much of it. But when we look at the front of the coin, the obverse is what they call it, on this 1965 Lincoln Memorial Cent, you're going to notice that Lincoln's profile looks like it's pretty weakly struck, all right? And that's going to be something that at first glance people will tend to gravitate towards. But in reality, there was actually some grease in the impacted areas of that die. So when it strikes coins like this, it's going to end up leaving it a very weak looking strike. All right. So in this particular case, it's just affecting Lincoln's profile. All the other parts of the coin are struck as normal. This one, nice catch, by the way, whoever found this one. Ended up selling for $22.45. So, another man's trash is someone else's treasure, obviously, with these ones. Strike-throughs are very common out there, and you can find them in coins going all the way up to some of the more modern dates. So be on the lookout for these. It doesn't matter what date coin you have. Here's what I believe to be a 1943, they call it a wartime silver nickel. These are 35% silver and manganese by composition. The mint was rationing nickel and copper for the war effort. So they did a little bit of a replacement of some of the composition of these coins. They added silver and manganese to a very short range of dates, from 42 all the way up to 45, okay, which is the range of World War II as it sits. So this particular one right here has what we call a delamination on the obverse. It's just a flaking off of some of that coin due to impurities in the alloy mix. And the war nickels have always been one of those series that has been plagued with this particular event. They just could not figure out the annealing process and all that great stuff to really produce a high quality planchet. You know, as a matter of fact, you probably run into about roughly 30-40% of the silver war nickels will have some sort of issue with it, some sort of planchet flaw. And again, that's all due to the prep of the mixture of the alloys in this one. So this one right here, surprisingly, only managed to bring in $8.79 with 4 bids. Laminations have been trending upwards here lately. We've seen other similar pieces like this that have sold for around $20-30. So this one right here, and it happens, was a pretty good sizable miss, and someone took full advantage of it. 1972D Jefferson nickel. This thing's awesome. Nice large cut die break on the obverse there. So that's an event where, due to wear and tear, the dies undergo a lot of strenuous things. Parts, pieces begin to wear down and break. The dies are not immune to that, even though they are steel. They will break as well. So they crack, and the pieces, if prompted, will fall out. So the dies will have essentially an empty cavity. Now, cut by definition starts at the rim and goes into the design, like you see here on this one. So this is a pretty monstrous size cud. It's very long and lean, and it's pretty sizable. Don't be perverted now. This is a beautiful piece, and cuds are kings. Okay, you guys know that. $129.84 with 22 bids for the price on this one. Cuds in general are just they are gauntlets in the error coin scene. They are some of the most dramatic looking mint errors, and it stands to reason why to say that they are just consistent heavy hitters out in the open market today. If you do find one of these, take solace in noting that you have something that's worth quite a bit of money, and don't toss it away. Here's another lamination, this time on 1930s Lincoln wheat set. On that obverse face there, that's a pretty sizable delamination. A little bit of attachment on there, a few little pieces, but for the most part, a lot of the bigger pieces flaked off of this one. So you would expect for this size, this one would sell for more money than the nickel, and it did. This one was more in the wheelhouse of what they're worth. $26.86 with 15 bids. Very nice piece. And here's one too that I love hunting for, and they are out there. It's just going to take a little bit of kind of like astute, hunting to find one of these. 1970D Washington Quarter. At first glance, you guys will probably come to a conclusion it's just very weakly struck. I've actually cherry-picked one of these in a bargain bin. It just said struck through grease on there. All right. It's close, but no cigar. This particular quarter right here was actually struck on what's called dime thickness stock. So as far as the thickness of a coin goes, the quarter is quite a bit thicker than a Roosevelt dime. So what had happened here, and this was, as of right now, we know this to be a one-year event in 1970, but there have been a few others on varying other dates that have been found. So the blanks were punched out of a very rolled thin strip that was intended for Roosevelt dimes. So they used a quarter punch to blank out those particular planchets out of there, and they just went through the process of, using them for quarters. They didn't think any differently. They just continued to use these planchets, and you're like, whatever. We're just gonna release them. Who cares? Probably it would have been too much work to try and retrieve all of them and destroy them. There are a number of these out there. Now, when you sit them in a stack of other quarters, you're going to see that this one's quite a bit thinner, all right? But it's a normally struck coin. And the reason why it looks so weak is that the particular mint presses that strike quarters are calibrated to the thickness of a quarter stock, not dime stock. So this is going to be thinner. It's not going to produce a full heavy strike net like normal. And then you get this wondrous beauty here. Now these weigh less. This particular one ended up weighing 4.2 grams. It's always a good idea to check the weight using your scale. This particular one, this was a nice little gem that ended up slipping through the cracks once again. $35.54, while many other examples have sold for about double that. So, yeah, someone picked up a really good piece here, and it's in really nice shape too. You know, it's probably a low-end mint state coin, if I had to guess, like a 61, which is fine. You know, it's still going to end up being like a $100 coin at the end of the day. Don't need to grade these, I would say. Typically, they sell very well raw. And here's one that we haven't seen in a little while. They come up sporadically, kind of like the Tuskegee Airmen burning building strike-throughs. We have the 2021 P, Washington crossing the Delaware Crown die chip. Yeah, these were all the rage. You know, all the rage a couple years ago because of that silly thing on top of Washington's hat. That hamburgerish crown die chip. Yeah, that's a thing of beauty on a coin that was highly revered as being one of the favorite designs of quarters of this millennia. And here you go. They managed to screw it up. You know, they didn't screw up anything. It's just, you know, that was a weak area of the die, and you know, it did crack and fissure, and pieces fell out of the die, and it created this monster. So yeah, surprising. $49.35 was the sale price on this one, and yeah, I mean, still worth finding. If you do come across them, they are worth money. Even well circulated ones, you can still squeeze out $30 for them. I would say if you do find them, just put them up as buy it now listings. You know, no need to wait. There's not too many of them on eBay right now. And you know, if someone wants one, they'll buy it. You know, they'll pay the money. Don't short sell yourself on these. They have quite a bit of liquidity left. All right, they used to be a couple $100, but that was back when they were first discovered. 1922 peace dollar. Oh my goodness! I wish I would have found this one. This one would have been in my cart right away. This one has a pretty nice sizable die break right in Liberty's hair. I love hunting for VAM varieties, and this is a good one right here. Although I was looking at VAMworld's catalog, and I didn't see this one in there. Maybe I just overlooked it or whatever. But yeah, check that die break out. That's a big one. That's one of the bigger ones that could end up being like a top 50, you know, one day. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and double check and see if this one's in there. But this one's cool. But $49, 12 bids is cheap. That is dirt cheap for this. Whereas other examples have sold for roughly 3 to 4 times that amount. So yeah, I mean, if you're at all curious as to what you can find out there, these earlier date peace dollars, the very common dates, 22 and 23, die breaks galore all over these things. The bigger they are, the more that they're worth. If they're even attributed as a top 100 or top 50 VAM, yeah, congratulations. They are going to be very good sellers. And if you find a brand spanking new one, get it attributed. That thing is going to be a monster. 1834. This is a matron head, large set, I believe. Yeah, I mean, this is just a wholesome, very well circulated piece. I think what really caught the seller's attention is it's got a doubled profile, which is pretty cool, but it's quite common. This is a common event on these large scents, especially the matron head style. So if you do come across these, that's just a form of die deterioration, but it really produces a very pretty effect with a double profile. And, you know, when you do come across it, guys, they're very collectible. You know, large scents are a lot of fun to collect, by the way. This one right here sold for $69.36, which, by the way, for the date is roughly 2x what they normally sell for in this grade. This one right here is about a VG, if I had to guess, VG 8, somewhere around there. Nothing too crazy. But again, because of that double profile, people do collect that specifically for that. And the stronger the double profile on there, the more that they are going to be sellable for a larger amount of money. So if you love hunting through large scents, this is a great one to look for. Yeah, some early classics, man. I gotta love it. 1857 Flying Eagle scent. Looks like it's kind of funny. It's weakly struck on one side on both the front and back of the coin. This is what's called a rolled thin tapered planchet. All right, so that particular side where it's weakly struck is actually a thin part of the coin. It's not a consistent same thickness all the way across. The coin ended up weighing 4.29 grams. All right, so it's a little bit lightweight, nothing too crazy. This particular one sold for $125, which is a fair amount of money, but we got to keep in mind Flying Eagle scents, especially problem-free examples, are very expensive across all grades. And certainly they are very well collected considering that they only made them for a few years, and the 1856 is a proof-only issue at only like 56,000 made. So, it's a very, very high-end, very exclusive type. That if you needed a good one for your set, you're going to end up paying multiple hundreds of dollars, especially ones that grade out AU and higher. They are very expensive. 1970 Lincoln Memorial scent struck off center, so it's out of collar. This one about 15% or so off center. A good looking one. These are collected by date as normal. $18.45 for the sale. Here's another beast. This one even more impressive than the lamination we looked at earlier in the show. 1945P wartime nickel. Look at that reverse. It was struck through something, either a long, hard piece of grease with debris, or it could be like a string of some sort. Very impressive what that is. Your imagination, you can imagine what could have been sitting on that die prior to this one being struck. But yeah, it could be any one of those things. $39 is what this one sold for. So yeah, that's a pretty cool one there. And again, when you come across them, yeah, hold on to them, man. They are very interesting, and collectors love them. They love them. And sometimes I've seen these go for moon money, $100 plus on occasion. Here's another war nickel, 1943 S this time around. This time a delamination on the reverse there, as you can see. Yeah, the coin is rough shape in general. It's just very well circulated. $24.99 is what this one ended at. Here's a 1942. It's always good to know what a lamination looks like on silver coins. Now, this one has quite a bit of problems, aside from that lamination chip that's flipped up there by the L in Liberty. But take a look at the rest of the coin. You're going to see all sorts of scratches, especially on Washington's profile there on the reverse. So it's a coin with issues. But it's a really cool example of a lamination on silver that hasn't completely flaked away. I've usually seen a lot of these where the piece had fallen out. This one sold for $28.45. That's a good solid one for that. Yeah, we don't typically talk about these as often as we should because of the overall value. They're a little bit on the low side, but 1957D Lincoln Wheat scent with two shallow sheet clips on there. Nothing too crazy, but anything above one clip on a coin, yeah, that's more meaningful. And as a result, they will sell for a little bit more cash. This one here, $16.99. And the coin's in pretty decent shape too. So there is that. With varieties and errors, condition still does matter. All right, I've said before where condition doesn't matter on certain coins, and that is okay up to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a difference between if someone pays $16 for a coin or if they spend $5 on a coin, and it's all going to be surrounding that grade level. And this thing's wild. This one we don't have a date on. It's a Roosevelt dime that was struck through, I guess, a late stage die cap. And at that point, the die cap was beginning to crinkle on itself. Yeah, this is a pretty wild one here. I haven't seen one that's quite this dramatic before in a while. It's been a while. But yeah, this is a later dated, probably 1980s Roosevelt dime. And it's a great error. There was just a coin stuck to the die, thereby striking all the other coins, leaving this funny anomaly where you have a very strong reverse strike, and then the front's all kind of like, I don't know, big question mark there. This one sold for $53. Again, no big surprise. These sell quite nice and a very healthy price margin. Wow, this thing's cool. 1920 Lincoln Wheat Cent, off center by about 15%. 15% seems to be the number for the day for these off center strikes that we've seen. But this date, man, this is one you don't see that often. And the coin is problem free. That you gotta love. So anyways, this is gonna be, a pretty good one to obtain if you're doing it by date. That cannot be an easy endeavor. And sure enough, the price tag was pretty stiff. This one ended at $223.79. And that's to be expected for such a rare date. This is a very cool one. I've found a few of these, and you guys need to be on the lookout. If you love hunting through steel cents, then this one's for you. 1943 Lincoln Steely. This is the well-known FS 101 doubled die obverse. And boy, is it cool. This one, yeah, I mean, you can see the doubling in Liberty. It looks like the wind's blowing and all the letters are being swept away. That's how distorted they are. But look at that date, too. And you have the double the die because it has that big flared giant thing at the bottom of the 9. And that big old fat tail. And it looks like a foxtail. That's how big it is. That's what you're looking for. And then you're going to also have some distortion on all the numbers. The 3, not so impressive, but the 1, is pretty well doubled, and the 4 as well. This one sold for $50. It is a circulated example, but this is kind of like one of those coins where if you find one in mid-state condition, and it's like a really nice high mid-state condition, like a mid-state 65 and up, yeah, those things are hundreds of dollars and maybe even up over $1,000, at the right grade, because it's a very well-known variety and one in which that is highly coveted in today's market. Here's another 1972 doubled die cent. Yeah, they missed that second D in doubled. There's always going to be 2 Ds in doubled when it comes to doubled dies. That's just the correct terminology, because double die is 2 dies. When a die is doubled, that means that the working die was hubbed twice, Anyways, and then slightly offset for the second hubbing. So for this one, this is the FS 102. This is a very strong doubled die. This one right here, if it wasn't for FS 101, this one would be one of the kings here. Yeah, look at the doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust." That's so crazy. And you have some doubling on this one on Liberty, and you could see actually doubling on the back of Lincoln's jacket on the date. A little bit's on there too. This one sold for $51.95 with 4 bids. Well done. That's a great sale on that one. For one that has some contact marks, a little bit of circulation wear. Not perfect, but a good, wholesome piece. And another one of my favorite finds, 1941. This is also another great doubled die obverse. This is the FS 101. You have doubling on the date, on Liberty, and biggest of all, the motto, "In God We Trust." When they're very well worn, you can still see the doubling. It's most notable on "In God We Trust" than anything else. The date looks like just a regular date by the time it's like VF condition. So, yeah, always look at especially the word "trust" and "God" on there. That's going to be your main markers for this one. $44. This has always been a pretty nice coin, and even in lower grades, they sell for a fair amount of money. And this is coin, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to be able to find in mint sets. This is a mint set variety, 1969 D/D repunch mint mark variety. This is the FS 501. And you can see that secondary Denver mint mark that's punched way north and a little bit east on this one. It looks like a little kind of like Phantom D, and that's what you're looking for. That is a truly magnificent RPM. And these are business strikes, by the way. So again, they're going to be found in mint sets. So cherry pick this one to your heart's content. Because they are in mint sets, they're all going to be pretty high grade pieces. You're not going to have to worry about one that's circulated. Just go right to the source. The mint sets, they will have these. They're not particularly rare, and because of that, this one sold for $19.36. The seller did not put an attribution in there. They didn't even know it was an RPM. So they did a Ghost D mint mark is what they put in the listing title, I believe, and that's how we got to this one. I saw it, I'm like, I knew exactly what that one was. 1920D. Now, this is a minor event here, but you can tell down the front of the coin, it's a little bit off-center, slightly off-center, and the reverse is perfectly centered. This is a misaligned die error. Nothing too crazy. Very minor. $19.95. Yeah, and coins and cards with another big one today. 1922, plain, no mint mark, strong reverse, key date. Yeah, you guys know these were only produced at the Denver Mint, so there were a few that ended up this week. To where the mint mark's completely gone. So yeah, a really pretty one here. Looks to be problem free, and $701. 24 bids. Grade wise, it's probably like a VF 25. The front of the coin does not look like VF 25. It's just a terrible strike. Lots of die deterioration here. That really doesn't play too much into the fact that this coin looks like a good 6. At the end of the day, it's actually much better than that. When you look at the reverse tells the true kind of like story of this one. This is actually a very phenomenal looking coin. And the last one, yeah, we just had to throw out a mega banger for you guys. How about this 1917 Buffalo nickel that's off center by about 20%? I wanted to use 15%, but we gotta be realistic. This thing is it's crazy. It is 20%-ish. Problem free. We don't know if there's a mint mark because it's cut off at the bottom there at 5 cents. Very rarely do you come across these that aren't integrated holders, so this one was kind of refreshing to see raw, and a true testament to why I say you don't have to grade these, folks. $478.96. Great sale and a great coin. Bar none. We ended the stream off on 2 great coins. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, the info provided today is for educational use only, not financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly. And that's it, guys. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun with the hunt. If you guys are doing shows here in the next week or so, yeah, be cognizant that a lot of these are hiding in those bargain bins. And some unattributed in regular dealer cases too. So that's it. I'm out of here. You guys take care. Happy hunting. And yeah, see ya.